today we are going to be building the classic 4-cylinder diesel. Now this is a slightly smaller engine than some of the other 10 scales, but if you've ever seen one of these in person, you'll know it's a small engine. So this is going to be good for the guys who don't have a lot of room in their car, but they want to still add an engine. We're going to get lots of little details out of it. Feel free to paint it ahead of time if you want to paint the pulley black or add some of your own touches, maybe rust it up a little bit, give it that weathered look. But let's get right into the build. All right, so we're going to start with our engine block. This is going to be your front, and this is going to be your back. So I'm going to be working towards me like usual. The first step we're going to do is we're going to take our intake and we're going to fit it on there. Now it does only go on one way, so be careful not to get it backwards. This is wrong. This is correct. And the way you'll notice the difference is your exhaust manifold, where we'll hook our turbo up later, will be on this side of the engine with the big canister. Alright, so as usual, we're going to take our applicator, which remember this comes with your kit. It's not the glue. This is standard hobby glue, medium gap filling. It's not foam safe or anything like that. And we have our standard hobby activator. As well, don't worry, it's not going to affect the finish on these products. So we've applied a little glue to the bottom. We're going to give it a quick spray. And we're going to drop this guy down. As you'll notice, this side of the engine, which has the canister on it, you're going to line that edge up. So this seam is what you're going to aim to line up. It will fall into place relatively easily, but just be mindful of that. Just kind of try and keep it straight. It's going to kick real fast and dry on you, so make sure you work quick. The next step is we are going to glue on the manifold for the turbo. Now, actually, I'll take that back. What we'll do first to make life a little easier is we're going to glue the turbo to the manifold. So we're not gluing the turbo while it's mounted to the engine. This is very simple. There's no real keying here. All you're going to do is you're going to take the flat square section of your turbo, and you're going to glue it to the round section here on the manifold like such. So just try and get it even. That'll give you the best look, but again, it's not going to interfere if you're a little off. There are 4 small bumps on the bottom of this section. I don't know if you can see them there in the camera, but they will help guide you when you're laying it down, so you can't get too much left and right action. Feel free to glue either side you want. I prefer to glue the round portion of the manifold. 1 drop is plenty, guys. Make sure you're using your applicator provided in the kits. Give a quick spray to the turbo. Make sure the turbo is pointed outward, away from the other tubes. I like to do this on a flat surface. Make sure we're straight. And we are good to go. Now, if you don't like how it looks, you have a few seconds to pull it back apart. So, in this case, I pulled it back apart to show you that. But if you don't like the way it's lining up, stop immediately and just do it again. If you do it again, make sure you add a little bit of extra glue just to fill any gaps that are caused from dry glue. It's not a big deal. At this scale, you won't notice the small imperfections between the joints like this. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. A little more center this time. I like the way it looks this time, so we're going to go ahead and let that dry like so. Alright, now that we're on there nice and good, we're going to lay our engine on its side, and we're going to line these 4 tubes up with these 4 outlets that I was talking about earlier. Go ahead and pre-fit. Just make sure you like the way it fits. It's going to sit a little bit towards the front. It's not a big deal. Just make sure when you set this that you get everything nice and flat, because once you have the kicker on, it's going to dry pretty quick. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the engine side by just putting a little drop in the center of each one of these. Give a little spray onto the part, flip it over, make sure your turbo is up or down, it's your motor. But make sure you pre-fit it ahead of time. Again, if you're not sure if it's going to fit, take it to the build each step at a time and check it out. Alright, so that's on there pretty good. Now we're going to move on to our flywheel cover on the back. The correct position is to have, you'll have these two jut outs on one side and a single on the other side. You're going to have them towards the top. The smooth side is out, the rough side is in, and it's going to drop in this location like so. So keep in mind which side the turbo's on. There we have our two on the same side as the turbo, and the single on the opposite side. You don't have to add this piece. If you have the room, add it. If you don't, leave it off. It's your build. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some glue to this region on the engine itself, because we're going to have some overhang and we don't want to have glue marks on a part of this that wasn't actually glued, or wasn't actually in contact with the engine. So I'll give it a quick spray. Line it up how you like. A little bit on the high side is safe if you want the engine to sit flat. If you're gonna be modifying this to make it fit, it doesn't matter too much. But then we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next step, which is gonna be the oil pan. So now, this is an early prototype, so you'll be seeing these on the website soon. Looks like I missed a couple pieces in the cleaning process on this one. Don't worry, that's only because this is the first one. And I want to make sure I got you guys that build video right away before the kits were released. Alright, so your oil pan's going to be clean on all sides except for this one drain plug. Now remember, it doesn't go that way. Lower section in the front of the engine, like so, towards the front. Now this is just square on square, so it doesn't really matter too much. If you put the last portion on a little below the surface, you'll be able to butt it up. If not, just do your best to line it up square to square using the same methods as other engines I've shown you, where I hold my thumbs and my fingers like this to line up the edges. Alright, let's get started. Either side is fine for the glue because we haven't really touched any of this side of the engine. The reason I suggest spraying certain pieces and gluing certain pieces is just to avoid glue marks and to avoid putting glue on anything that may potentially already have overspray. Because we haven't been working on the bottom of this engine, it doesn't really matter which part you glue and which part you spray the applicator on. Go ahead and give it a spray. Butt it up against that portion we just put on. Hold your edges square. Apply a little down pressure, not too much, just to hold it there. And we are now rock solid. We have one other little detail piece that is going to fit. Try and get this on camera good, the best I can for you guys. Like so. There's no correct way to glue this in. Just kind of place it in there for fit. What I will do is I'm going to glue this opposite side of it and spray the motor. Now, I know this might have a little kicker on it still, so we're going to work quickly. So I got a little line across that. Spray the engine, and I'm just going to kind of fit that in where it looks good. And for a little added strength, I'm just going to stick my applicator in the gap here and just kind of add a little bit of glue on that top seam just to fill in any small gaps and give it a little more strength to avoid any breaking off the car during bashing or whatnot. And there you have it, your 4-cylinder classic diesel. Pretty simple, only a few parts. This is part of our standard line. It's going to be great for you guys who have smaller areas that you're trying to put these engines in. And don't worry, you still get a turbo. Alright guys, we'll see you in the next one.